Now, first of all, apologies. I believe this is the second day in a row where I'm not able to do video in this morning analysis. It's primarily because I'm very far from the studio, but I believe I should be back by tomorrow morning. Now, in this video, I want us to look into the president's state visit of China. We're not going to look into how he was received and so on. We've seen it so many times. We'll just get straight into what happened there. Now, the first thing I noticed is that any single time that a president goes to China, especially kuomba loan, the first thing you'll notice is that an Odinga has to be present. And you can see it in this picture before you right now. You can see Oburu Odinga was there, right behind the president. Ameshika ile kofia kama ile ya Gwambo, I don't know what they call it. Should be the same one the Peaky Blinders wear, but either way, Oburu Odinga was there. And that makes me wonder, what shares do the Odingas have in our national debt? Kwa nini wakati yote kuna deni inaenda kuchukuliwa, an Odinga has to be there? Anyway, that's food for thought. Moving along, President Ruto was accompanied by the First Lady, Rachel Ruto, as you can see in this image. Now that's very significant. In some of these states, if you don't show up with your wife, they won't take you seriously. And I can give you a good example. I remember there's a time the world's richest man, Elon Musk, met with the president of Turkey, Awan Erdogan. And the only question Erdogan asked Elon Musk the moment he saw him is, where is your wife? Because Elon had gone with his kid, but there was no lady accompanying him. So Erdogan was wondering, where is your wife? Here's the tape.
Where is your wife?
She's in San Francisco.
San Francisco, where is she from?
But we're separated. I take care of him mostly.
I believe it's the same thing for China. In China, you are taken more serious if you are married and if your wife is part and parcel of your affairs, because it kind of shows some honesty. Most men wakifanya vitu behind their wives' back ni kuharibu mali na shady deals. So I believe that's why the president had to be there with Rachel Ruto. It reminds me of how there's a time Uhuru Kenyatta alienda na Raila kuomba deni na wakanyimwa na wakafukuzwa. Because men cannot be trusted, especially those who do not walk around with their wives. I don't know if we adopt this as Kenyan policy, how many people will be getting business deals. That's food for thought. Anyway, on to what was said. We've said time and time again that the president's foreign policy is seriously lacking. It's either he lacks advisors or I don't know what's happening. Vile aliingilia magenerals kule Sudan, the same way he was against Traore and others. I remember in South Africa, he said how they'll deal with all these generals who are usurping power and arresting presidents, only to later on find out that Traore is very popular, and that statement went down badly, to the point that during the inauguration of the new Ghanaian president, Traore never shook hands with Ruto. And what if Traore was to vote in the AU when Raila was competing? You see, they don't think beyond their noses. And we had another instance in China yesterday, where the president insulted Uganda and Tanzania by calling them lesser countries. There's a point he was trying to make, but how he made it, it came off so wrong. Here's the tip.
Just explain to you why sometimes people find it easy to go to Uganda or Tanzania for purposes of getting goods and services to this country. It is exactly the problem I want to solve by signing the bilateral labor agreement. You know, the difference between us and our neighbors is that Kenya is in the middle income category. Our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda, and all the other neighbors are in the least developed countries. They are in LCDs, LDCs, and we are in the other countries. So we are categorized higher than them, and therefore, while they export duty-free, Kenya exports with duty. And that is why you heard me say that is the agreement we want to negotiate. We want to negotiate a preferential trade agreement that will now put Kenya at par with our neighbors. You will not be experiencing the problems you are experiencing today.
Although, to be fair to the president, Suluhu does talk a lot of about Kenya. So as far as I'm concerned, that's in order. However, Uganda is catching strays for no good reason, and Museveni is allegedly Ruto's closest ally. Now, the second thing worth noting in this state visit of President Ruto to China is that while you are being taxed to death, the president is giving Chinese investors up to 10 years tax holiday. 10 years. Wewe hata hii finance bill unaenda kufinywa. But the Chinese investor who is coming here to build high-rise buildings in Kilimani and Kileleshwa, they are turning it into a concrete slum-like pipeline. Those ones are given 10 years tax holiday. You can come and spend as you want, where you want, make profits and pull out without paying a penny. and anything you need, the government will support and give you. Why can't we support our own people like that? That if you're a young investor, you are given 4 or 5 years tax holiday. And if you need a loan, if you're having any challenges, the government supports you. So that we start engaging our own people. I'll tell you for a fact, the Chinese who are coming to do development here are getting loans from their own government. Difference is our work on adabu. They get the loan, they do the construction, sell the units, get the money back, keep the profits, pay back the government with interest. They are loyal that way. So I don't think that's something to celebrate. You can expect Kilimani, Kileleshwa and all these other areas which are becoming concrete slums to continue on that trend. Because siku hizi, it is 1 bedrooms and bed sitters, studios. They are running down the market in the area. And every single one of them, it's a Chinese developer. Those who are in the real estate world can tell us in the comment section below if I'm wrong on this one. Now, I don't know what it is we'll gain out of this trip, because it's not yet been concluded, it's ongoing. But I do know that we already have one repercussion as a result of this trip and the utterances of the president. Which repercussion is this? Let me read for you this tweet by Steve Mbogo, just to put things into perspective, and I quote, President Ruto chose the worst time to visit China, a time when America and China are at loggerheads with the tariffs war. Today, President Ruto is perceived as a betrayer by his former boss, America. And now, the US is certain Ruto will be a one-term president. America never entertains betrayal. They will not rest until Ruto is out of power. Stay tuned. And at the bottom, there's this image of Marco Rubio. I believe he is a former senator. I can't remember of which state, but a very close Trump ally. I believe he's the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. And at the bottom it reads, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has cancelled his scheduled visit to Kenya with no official reason given for the cancellation. Because the Americans are watching, they're watching you giving Chinese investors 10-year tax holiday. And there are no such deals that you're giving the Americans, despite the nice state visit that you were given under Joe Biden, paka ukakalia kiti ya rais in the Oval Office. So the West doesn't like us. To be honest, mimi sina shida. Yule jamaa ko huko ni racist mbaya sana. He has deported many of our own. He is interfering in Burkina Faso. They want to remove Traore. So hata waki-cancel state visit, it doesn't matter. On this one, I'm with the president. We are better off with China than the US. But I would say you guys, do drop me your own comments in the comment section below. How do you feel the president's state visit to China went down? Just drop me your comments. I'll do my best to read them and to give you a response. And in the event you're here for the first time, please go on and hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching for a different platform, just head on over to YouTube, search for Mzitowafula, hit the subscribe button. You're going to be getting a ton of content of this nature. If politics is something you're passionate about, this is definitely the one channel that you really need to subscribe to. Alright guys, adios. Thank you for choosing David Wafula as your primary news platform. We put countless hours in research, recording, and editing. By showing up each and every day to watch our videos, you encourage us to generate more videos for the viewers. We are on a mission to inform, educate, and build a better tomorrow. To our thousands of followers in a world full of presidents, kings, and queens, you are the real gem. Adios.